Hi everyone, and thanks for being with me. I don't know what happened to the beginning graphic there. I'll have to sort that out afterwards. We're supposed to have the Tony Tonkin show, whatever. But glad that you could be with me for a conversation about a range of subjects, and I've got some fabulous subjects for us to talk about today. So hope that you can join with me and have a conversation amongst yourselves as a little community. I also want to say that since I've been doing this, I've had 500,000 views of my videos, and at the moment I'm heading towards 6,000 subscribers. But my statistics will tell me that there's a number of people who watch my videos but don't subscribe. Now, it helps me if you do subscribe. So please, I ask of you, I'm not begging you, because do what you need to do, but I am asking you to subscribe to my channel, to ring the bell for further notifications. Hit the like button if you like what I've got. I'm saying unlike if you don't. Let me know what you think, of course, in the comment section below, because I really do appreciate that. So there's lots of things to talk about. Before I came online, I was looking through some YouTube videos, and I came upon one from Sky News. Now, for those of you that don't know, Sky News is my favourite channel. I just love them. I've got something about fight at Sky News, and then I've got a link at the moment from an article in The Guardian about the Young Liberals and how the reference to Sky News all the time by the media, the Liberal Party and the Nationals was unhelpful. I'm going to talk a little bit about that article. I'm also going to have a look at a couple of other things that came through from Sky News, because I don't want to make necessarily Sky News my total focus. However, it is important to understand that it's through the right-wing media ecosystem that a lot of news is imparted to people who want to believe in right-wing politics, who are not necessarily interested in the rule of law, who don't want to have a rational debate about certain things. In this particular video I'm about to show you is someone who doesn't want to have a rational debate, because we just have a look at the type of person that they have in. One of the critiques of Sky News is that they have two types of people. They have older people generally about my age, regretfully, who are talking about issues which they think they know something about but often are out of touch over those issues. And they also have a lot of younger people who are simply influencers or podcasters, people without any specific governmental background or administration. And those people are the ones from which they impart their wealth of information and knowledge. So let me know what you think. If you've got a comment that you want to make and I see it come up, I'll do what I can to play that video, play your comment rather as well. But please have a conversation about some of the things that I'm talking about. So the first thing I'm going to show you is a video which the presenter, whose name I can never remember, and I feel terrible for that, but she's talking about Rachel Maddow, and then she has a conversation with this bloke who is a young right-wing radical bloke from the United States, about not just Rachel but also about Biden, because, as you'll see in just a moment, it so happens that one of the leading commentators has actually had to quit his job, as it turns out, and so as a result of that, is a left-leaning commentator, and of course they need to celebrate that as they did with Colbert and others. So I'll play a little bit of that clip for you, and then we'll have a look at what the Young Liberals had to say and the report in relation to that from The Guardian. And then from there, I'm going to be discussing our the PBS system in Australia and how that's being challenged by the United States, and how that they wish to bully us in order to so that we charge more for medication here in Australia. In fact, they just want to get rid of the PBS and that's all there is to it. I'm going to have a look at racism via my friend Paul Murray, and we'll be having a look at also something else that Sherry Markson has to say about the protests last Sunday. I'm doing a session, if I get there, if we get that far, also on Indigenous issues, and I'll tell a little bit of a story about why this particular conversation is important. Then we're having a look at NATO meets with security officials amid reports Israel is considering full takeover of Gaza. We'll have a look at that report. There's one on Channel 9. Donald Trump takes an unexpected walk on the White House roof. Might talk about that for a fraction of a second. Why is the Trump administration threatening to deport this Iranian man to Australia? This is a new twist, which we also should be looking at. And the final one that I'll be looking at, probably the final one. So there's also a story about child abuse and why in the Porth Royal Show is actually not prepared to provide working with children's checks for its employees because for reasons no one knows, but that has raised an issue as well, and it's a topic which I'm quite motivated about, given my work around child protection. And then there's another conversation which, if I get this far, and I only give myself 40 minutes or to an hour for this conversation, is the legal battle of parental alienation. I wanted to cover that as well. But I'm going to start with this one, which is a conversation about Biden and Rachel Maddow, and the direction that this takes, I think, is quite interesting.
With CJ Pearson, RNC Youth Advisory Council co-chair. CJ, it is great to see you again. Rachel Maddow is struggling big time. She seems to think America is living under a dictatorship. Can you help her out?
Now, I need to say that Rachel Maddow is not the only person who thinks that the United States is living under a dictatorship. There are many indicators that this is the case, that the United States is bending more and more towards ignoring the rule of law, to using ICE agents in particular to take people off the streets, incarcerating people who should not be incarcerated, sending people overseas or back overseas. I've got an article on that later that I'll talk to you about, by changing the electoral boundaries, gerrymandering, which is a situation in Texas at the moment. There are lots and lots of issues which would indicate the United States is leading more and more towards an authoritarian nation. And there are many people in the United States who are fearful of this, and rightfully so. I mean, fortunately here in Australia we've been insulated against it because we actually elected a Labor government. But had we elected a Liberal government or more conservative government, a government which aligned itself more with the United States and with Donald Trump in particular, we might have had a completely different experience. But here on Sky News, they're endeavouring to tell us as best as they can and as loud as they can that, in fact, there's nothing wrong with what's happening in the United States. The United States is functioning fine. You know, we've now got Donald Trump, who has decided that any statistics that come out of the United States or out of any of the administration or out of any of the departments, in fact, that actually indicate that things aren't going as well in the United States as what they should, the people that are in charge of those statistics should be sacked and we should put someone else in power. There's this issue around Jerome Powell and how, he should be sacked because he won't lower interest rates. And there's a story now around Kennedy and how Kennedy Jr. has decided that perhaps we should do away with any science that helps us to improve vaccinations, and that research around mRNA vaccines has now been abolished in the United States. And so there is this turning towards authoritarianism, and there's certainly, which is one of the signs of authoritarianism, in fact, it's when they start turning away from science. And so seeing all those things starting to take place, and people like Aboriginal Massacres and people on the left are extremely concerned about all of this, and rightfully so. However, we must have, from the right here in Australia, we must bend the rainbow a little bit. We must distort the facts somewhat, and by doing so, we must indicate to the rest of the world that we're on the side of the right wings, because there's nothing happening, there's nothing to see here. Basically, that's what it means at the end of the day.
You know, under a dictatorship, I don't really think she'd be allowed to go in that unhinged rant about President Trump. But of course, you know, liberals make their own rules, they make their own definitions. In the same way they can't define a woman, how dare we expect them to actually know what a real dictatorship is, right? I think the only thing Rachel Maddow needs to find is probably a prescription for Xanax, because she needs to calm down. And to be quite frank, this is exactly why no one can take the left seriously anymore. They live in this constant state of just absolute anxiety, and it's absolutely not unfounded in any sense or sort of reality, and it's sad.
Well, the Howard Stern show on Sirius XM is set to be cancelled now. He was reportedly on a contract for $100 million over 5 years. He previously said that he hated...
I'm sorry, folks. I don't know what's happened here. I've kind of lost track on my software in relation to this. It seems to have hung a fair bit. I don't know whether you heard any of that feedback there, but it has hung. I don't know why that is. I will endeavour to fix that as soon as I can, or I might have to abandon the feed. So my software now is not responding at all, and I want to just. So I'll just have to wait a sec and see whether it does. And it looks like it's not, even though I can see I'm still able to broadcast. So we will do what we can. I'll just... no, it's not working. So I will endeavour to rectify. A number of people are online at the moment, I can see that. So thanks very much, nevertheless, for being here. And thanks, Claire, for more money for my table. Thanks. I appreciate that as well. If you want to make... I can still pick up some comments, I think. If you want to make a comment down below, please feel free to do so as well. And I might just read out while I'm here a couple of these other articles that are important. There's an article in The Guardian, while I wait for this to busily rectify itself. So families unite at a site of massacre in Western Australia, something spoke through me. Now, I might just, actually what I'm going to do is I'm going to stop the feed, reset the problem, and I'm going to come back. So just hang in there, everybody. I'll be back as soon as I can.